Welcome back to another episode of Legal Talk. And we just coming back from break speaking to Abigale Stolfe, attorney, family law expert of good considerable experience with Jersey Coast family law. And as we left prior to the commercial break, we were talking about how you would counsel a client, a female client coming into you in that she is facing her next phase where she has primarily been the home caretaker, stay at home mom. So I'm sure this is still something that comes up often.
It absolutely is, and I think it is really difficult for women who are transitioning from a stay-at-home role into what's going to be their next phase, especially depending on the age of the children. So there's a few points that I ask women, and I do ask men this as well, but in this context, we're talking about a woman. First and foremost, I think she needs therapy. I think it's a big transition to go from being the person who's making all the decisions to the person who has to talk about the decisions. And the kids also are coming to you saying, well, can I do this and can I do that? And now you don't just have that autonomous decision-making power. So I think therapy is one really important piece of this. The next is I ask them, well, and it sounds very cynical, right? What do you want to be when you grow up? Now we are in a new phase. What do you want to do? Because now the world is your oyster. What is it? Do you want to go back to the career you had? Do you want to go into the location where maybe you got educated but never started the career? Or do you want to go a whole new path now that you've lived a little bit of life and you want to do something totally different? So I think that getting a person engaged in and excited about what's in front of them takes away the sting of what they're leaving behind. So I think when you can refocus the person, it also helps to refocus the family. And I do think children look to their parents, and I'm talking male and female children, look to their primary parent, in this case, mother, as a strong influencer in what they choose to do with their lives. So if we as practitioners foster this theory of all your loss and oh my gosh, and what are we going to do? We're now sending that to the next generation. And I really don't think that's our job. I think our job is to empower children. And the truth is, children are empowered by watching their family and watching their parents or whoever is their parental figure.
Okay, and I love that. It is about the empowerment. It's an empowerment of the client, but also because the client is the foundation for that family. And thank you for bringing in, yes, talking about men, because we do have a lot of guys out there that are also going to be doing some transitions. And it is a new chapter. It is, what do you want to do with growing up? I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with because every new chapter is it's a new opportunity. At least that's how I'd like to frame it. Yes, it's difficult not to get bogged down in the negative and how I'm hurt and what I'm going to do, but it's like, okay, let's work on this. Let's just brainstorm on what is it that you want to do. I love that
Right.
you even put in how, like, what would, if they want to resurrect their career or even engage in a career after education and stuff, because that is an important self-reliance, and I think for self-esteem. And I'm curious because obviously, family law, we tend to think of, or, oh, young children, time sharing, child support, but there's a lot of other issues that are involved in not just dealing with the co-parenting issue, but there is also the support, especially say older. I don't know if you saw this. There was an article about, and they're talking about, I personally don't agree with this, the gray divorce, the
Oh,
older
yes.
couples that are getting divorced for whatever reason, 30 plus years of marriage. They're empty nesters, things like that. How do you counsel someone that is in a latter phase of family life? Let's put it that way, that come to you and say, this isn't working out.
So when I do meet with someone who's at the latter stage, the children are grown, maybe their children are out of the house totally, or maybe they're in college and, one foot in, one foot out. I still approach it in a similar fashion. although the issue may not be so much what do you want your career to look like, but what do you want your life to look like? So if
Mhm.
I'm meeting with someone who has never worked, and I'll use a family member as an example, she's a young 50, but she has never had a job. So suggesting to go back to school and get a 6-year degree and start at 56, like that's going to somehow make or break her life, that's really not right. With someone like her, I might say, well, you should go back to school if that's what you want to do, and you should find a career if that's what you want to do. Um, but it can also be volunteering, because a lot of stay-at-home moms who went through the whole phase are big into volunteer work and that kind of community. So it's really about finding what's going to make them happy, because I would hate to get a person divorced, especially a gray divorce, so that I can leave someone sitting at home with no direction. That's not what I want to do. So I think it's important, whether it's, they love to travel, we'll do a travel club. I had one woman who, her child was really good with the computer, so she started to travel, and then she started to do a travel blog.
Wow.
Now, who would have thought? But that was her passion. So she went with it. So good for her.
Yeah. In speaking with you, there's one thought that keeps recurring is not only are you advising them on the law, but you are also kind of coaching in a way, in like assisting them in going, hey, it's not about the here and it's not just the here and now or what happened in the past. We got to look forward. Where do you want to be in the future? So I like how you bring in that counseling aspect, because what many people may not realize is lawyers, yes, we're supposed to, be barracudas or tigresses or however you want to describe us, but we're really counselors first and foremost in assisting people in that next phase, whether it's family law or estate planning or business or what have you.
Mhm.
Now, and I liked how you brought in the community aspect, because I know you are very involved in your community as well. And I think it's great for the viewers to know, and it humanizes us lawyers that we're not just these barracudas that you bring out when needed. So what community involvement do you have and what impact has that had on your personal practice, if you will?
Well, I think it is really important for members of my community to see me giving back to my community. And I do that in a variety of ways. So I participate in a lot of big campaigns through radio stations and nonprofits. Share the Joy is coming up, so we're doing that now, which is a big hunger and clothing drive. So I will literally go to the grocery store with 6 shopping carts and fill them up. I'm the person who's out there doing the grocery shopping, and bring it to the food truck. My passion, though, is the one that I do with the animal shelter. That's where I'm really kind of, because it really, I mean, how can you not just love an animal? Any kind of animal, there's something you love, right? So I do a lot of work with the animal shelter. My children are involved with the animal shelter. So it's nice because it's really a family goal with that one. But we as a firm, and I as a person, think it is important for those who can to do.
Mhm.
And then for those who can't and who need help, when they can, they also will do. So I think that's how you keep community moving forward.
And I do. I think that is, I applaud you for that, especially as a firm going forward, what community and the touch points. Because what I have found in I've had an interesting path, even legally, but in my legal career, and my community involvement has always advanced me, whether it's my personal career, but also it allowed me an extra dimension, if you will, because I was able to get involved with some great organizations. And yes, animals are so adorable too. So and that's something actually. How do you deal with that little custody battle when it comes over to Fluffy or
You
or the
know, that
dog that
one, that one is tough. I have had some cases where we have fought harder over the animals than we have over the children, and that is true. So I think it's easy if there's children, right? If both parents want also to have time with the animals with the children, it's the same transition piece point. If there's no children and the fur is the baby, right? This is our fur baby, and a lot of people, listen, I have 4 dogs, so I'm a big fur baby person. It becomes harder. You are doing a shared time arrangement of some sort. I do, in those cases, say to my clients, to the point we made before, we need to look forward 5 years. I always say to my clients, look forward 5 years. Where are we in 5 years? Especially if they're young. So yes, we have this fur baby, but in 5 years, you're going to be with a new person. You might have a family. You might have a baby at that point. You could be in a different state. What do we realistically want to do here? And I think sometimes that brings some clarity out of the fight. And I think that oftentimes allows people to create an arrangement where one person has the fur baby, and the other person is working collectively and cooperatively so they both enjoy time.
Okay, I am stealing that. Let's look 5 years
I
ahead.
do that all the time.
I am so stealing that. I can't believe this.
I say that to
now. I'm like,
literally everybody.
this is the first time, and when I tell you 25 plus years, okay. I'm like, I am so stealing that because it's true because and I went through my own divorce, so I get it now. Before I didn't quite empathize as well as someone going through it, that you get so entrenched and blinded by just what is going on in that fear and there's a lot and anger and mourning of that relationship passing. So I love that 5 year. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to ask Abby to go into the traditional family that is today, which is our modern family, those people that are not necessarily legally married, but have a beautiful family. Tune right back in.